method is also called as Pottier triangle method or Pottier methods, because the person called as Pottier, he has invented this method. Based on that, we call this method ZPF method, or by the name Pottier triangle method or Pottier method. Okay. Now let us see the description of this ZPF test here. In operation of any alternator, the armature resistance drop IARA and armature leakage reactance IAXL are actually EMF quantities, right? So drop, that is IARA and IAXL, are actually voltage or EMF quantities, while the armature reaction is basically MMF quantity, that is IARA. Drop because of armature reaction reactance, that is IARA, IAXAR drop, not IARA drop, IAXAR drop, that is MMF quantity. Okay. In synchronous impedance method, all the quantities are treated as EMF quantity, as against this in MMF method, all are treated as MMF quantity. So drop because of armature resistance, armature leakage reactance, armature reaction reactance, all together they will be treated as EMF quantities in EMF method, whereas in the MMF method they will be treated as MMF quantities, which is not a true fact. Okay. Because IARA and IAXL drop are resistive in nature, that is EMF drops, whereas IARA and IAXL are EMF quantities, whereas IA into XAR is MMF quantity. Hence, in both the methods means EMF and MMF methods, we are away from the reality. This method is based on the separation of armature leakage reactance. Leakage reactance means IA into XL, and armature reaction effect. Armature reaction means IA into XAR, because XL and XAR is nothing but XS. So XS we are splitting up, that is XL and XAR. XS we are splitting up here, that is XL and XAR into two components. We are separating them in the method of ZPF. The armature leakage reactance XL is called Pottier reactance in this method. So drop because of armature leakage reactance, that is XL. Leakage reactance XL, it is called as Pottier reactance in ZPF method. Hence this method is called Pottier reactance method. So in this method XL we call it as, usually it is leakage reactance, but this leakage reactance here we call it as Pottier reactance. Because of that reason we say this ZPF test method as Pottier reactance method. To determine armature leakage reactance means IA into XL. Armature leakage reactance means IA into XL, and armature reaction MMF. Armature reaction MMF means IA into XAR. So to determine, here we are separating XL and XAR. Actually XL and XAR is nothing but synchronous reactance XS. So this now we are separating IAXL as EMF quantity, and whereas IA into XAR as MMF quantity separately. Two tests are performed on the given alternator. Here also once again we are conducting two tests. The two tests are, first one conventional method, that is open circuit test. Second one is zero power factor test. This zero power factor test is as good as your short circuit test only. The only difference here is that instead of directly closing the switch and allowing the alternator to carry the full load current, here we are closing the switch via zero power factor, that is purely inductive load. Purely inductive load means cos 90, that is 0. Because of that pure inductive load we are getting power factor as 0. Because of that we say that the short circuit test as zero power factor test. Okay, now let us see how to conduct open circuit test. So the circuit diagram for this ZPF test. So this is the circuit diagram, experimental setup for ZPF method. So you are given with what? This is the stator of an alternator. This is the prime mover, which is coupled mechanically to the stator of the alternator here, and this is the field winding. Okay, and these are the potential dividers for excitation purpose to control the speed of the alternator, and this is the pure inductive load which is connected to each of the phase of the alternator via this switch yes. So this pure inductive load, it is connected to one of the phase of the alternator. Similarly, this will be connected to the another phase of the alternator. Similarly, this will be connected to the other phase of the alternator. So altogether, this is the three-phase pure inductive load which will be connected to the alternator via the switch. And here, during short circuit test or during the zero power factor test, you will be allowing this alternator to carry the full load current, and that full load current you will be observing via this ammeter by closing the switch. Because of that reason, we call the short circuit test by the name zero power factor test. Zero power factor test means here we are using pure reactive or pure inductive load. Because of that, pure inductive load will be having zero power factor. Is it clear? And this circuit diagram you need to draw it for ZPF method. Is it clear? So this is the field of the alternator. So this is the variation of field current with the help of potential divider, which will control the speed of the what is that alternator. And this is the inductive load which will be connecting during short circuit test or during zero power factor test. And similarly, this will be switch will be kept open during open circuit test. Now let us see the first test. The two tests are open circuit test and zero power factor test. This will be conducted in the ZPF test now. So the in ZPF test, it includes two different types of tests. One is open circuit test and another is short circuit test, that is as good as zero power factor test. Okay. So here, first let us see how to conduct open circuit test. The steps to open circuit test are: first one, as the name suggests, it is open circuit test, means whether switch should be kept open or closed. Switch should be kept open. So here switch yes is kept open. Okay. The alternator is driven by its prime mover. Alternator input is mechanical. For that sake, in mechanical input will be received from the prime mover. So this is the prime mover which use mechanical input to the alternator. Okay. The alternator is driven by its prime mover at its synchronous speed. So alternator you will be allowing to run at a synchronous speed, that is ns value, and same is maintained constant throughout the test. So throughout the test you are maintaining constant synchronous speed. Okay. The excitation is varied. Excitation means this is the field current, field winding. So the current through the field winding is nothing but IF. That IF is nothing but what? Flux, which is nothing but the excitation, and current can be controlled by the resistance, that is nothing but this potential divider. So excitation will be varied with the help of this resistance, that is nothing but the potential divider. Okay. The excitation is varied with the help of potential divider from 0 up to the rated value in definite number of steps. So here, since it is open circuit test, you should keep the switch yes open, and alternator will be driven with the help of prime mover, and excitation should be varied from 0 to full load, 0 to up to rated voltage value. So I want to ask the question here: by changing the excitation, changing excitation means field current you are changing. If you keep on changing the field current IF or flux pi, which electrical parameter you are changing here? If I change flux pi or IF, because IF is directly proportional to pi, and that too it is open circuit test, and we know that in the open circuit test we get voltage or we get the current. OCC.
Voltage.
It is voltage. Very good. So here you need to change the excitation of the field winding till from 0 to rated voltage value. So from where you are going to observe that 0 to rated voltage value? With the help of the voltmeter. Here what you are doing, you are going to connect some voltmeter. Okay, some voltmeter you are going to connect here, and this voltmeter will give you rated terminal voltage. Is it clear, all of you? So you should keep on changing the field excitation. So field excitation IF value you are going to notice with the help of this ammeter. So this ammeter will for different values of the field current, different voltages you will be noting down. From 0 to rated voltage, you should change the excitation in different number of steps. Once you get the rated voltage, then your open circuit test is completed. After open circuit test, So using this open circuit test, which information or which curve you will be getting? You will be getting x-axis will be field current, y-axis will be open circuit phase voltage VOC. Since it is line voltage, now this can be your line voltage. So for different points you will be getting, okay, like this. After that, you need to join all those points with the help of some smooth curve. With the help of some smooth curve, and this will be your OCC. OCC, it is the graph between open circuit line or phase voltage versus field current. Then from 0 to rated voltage, you should keep on changing the excitation, that is IF, and note down the corresponding voltage. Is it clear, all of you? Yes. And after this, we'll go to the second test. Second test is nothing but zero power factor test or short circuit test. In the normal EMF and MF method, we call the second test as short circuit test. But now here also the same short circuit test only we are going to conduct. But instead of directly closing the switch, this there we are closing the switch directly, but there is no any inductive load in the EMF and MMF method. But now here you will be having purely reactive or inductive load whose power factor is cos 90. Cos 90 means 0, because voltage phase angle between voltage and current always in the inductive load, current lags to the, what is that, current lags to the voltage. So the angle here it will be what, exactly 90 degree between voltage and current phasor. So cos 90 is what, this is the phasor diagram or phasor relation for purely inductive load, where voltage angle phase angle is exactly 90 degree, cos 90 is 0 for that sake. And this 0 power factor will be getting only if the load is purely inductive in nature. So this is purely reactive load which is having cos 90 power factor. Cos 90 is 0 power factor condition. Okay. To conduct ZPF test, the switch S is closed. So now here we need to close the switch because it is as good as short circuit test only. Switch S is kept closed. Due to this, a purely inductive load gets connected to an alternator. So by closing the switch, here you are connecting pure inductive load to the alternator through an ammeter. So this is our one more ammeter, and now this ammeter will give you short circuit armature current value through an ammeter. A purely inductive load has power factor of cos 90. That is cos 90 is 0. Okay, that is 0 power factor lagging. Hence the test is called as ZPF test. ZP. So since we are closing the switch and by connecting alternator to an 0 power factor load, that is purely inductive load, for that sake we say this method as 0 power factor test, right? Now the machine speed is maintained constant at its synchronous value. So here also, to conduct this ZPF test, you need to maintain the constant speed of the machine. The load current delivered by alternator to purely inductive load is maintained constant. So here also, whatever the load current you are maintaining to this purely inductive load, that load current should also be maintained constant. Speed of the alternator, speed of the alternator, this also should be kept constant, and load current to the alternator, that should be also maintained constant. Okay, is maintained constant at its full rated full load value, because it is short circuit test means always you should maintain rated full load current value by varying the excitation and by adjusting variable inductance of the inductive load. So here by adjusting the field excitation as well as by adjusting the purely inductive load, we should maintain rated full load current to the alternator whenever we are going to conduct the ZPF test by closing this switch and by maintaining the speed of the alternator to be constant. Okay. In this test, there is no need to obtain number of points. Okay, so here like we see for open circuit test, for different field excitation, you will be getting several number of points from 0 voltage to rated voltage. In different number of steps, we will be getting different points here for OCC. But here in the SCC test, we want only 2 points to draw the next ZPF curve. So which are those points? Let us see. In this test, there is no need to obtain number of points to obtain a curve. Only 2 points are sufficient to construct a curve called 0 power factor saturation curve. So the curve or the information by using which we are going to plot the graph, that curve we call it as 0 power factor saturation curve. And to draw this curve, we want only 2 points. Okay, this is the graph of terminal voltage. This is the graph of, once again, voltage only, terminal voltage voltage against excitation and delivering full load 0 current or the zero power factor load. 1 point for this curve is zero terminal voltage. The zero terminal voltage means what? When do you get zero terminal voltage? 1 point for the curve is zero terminal voltage. When do you get voltage that is zero? If voltage is zero, current will be very high. That is nothing but your short circuit condition. Yes or no? So first point is short circuit point. That is 1 point for this curve is zero terminal voltage. If voltage is zero, then current will be maximum. So that maximum current condition, we call it as short circuit characteristics, that is SCC, and the field current required to deliver the full load short circuit armature current. So first point is the point where armature, where alternator is supplying full load short circuit current. So to get that full load short circuit current, on that time voltage will be zero. So for zero voltage, what is the field required? So that is the first point. Okay, while the other point is the field current required to obtain rated terminal voltage when delivering the rated full load armature current. So one more point is what? The field current required to produce the rated voltage. One is for the rated voltage, another is for the zero voltage condition. And for those two rated voltage and zero voltage condition, what is the required field? Okay, so you can see here, this second curve is the zero power factor saturation curve. So as per our explanation, this is the first point, which is nothing but the short circuit characteristics point, where here voltage is zero because my y-axis is nothing but what? Terminal voltage. So this is my x-axis, y-axis is voltage. Here what is the voltage? Voltage is zero, whereas it is having certain field current. So this is my first point. And the second point is which is this voltage? This is for zero voltage, and this is for, which is this value? This is the rated voltage value. So for rated voltage, check what is the corresponding field, and for zero voltage, check what is the corresponding field current. So these 2 points if you get, then it is more than sufficient. Later on, similar to the OCC, you need to draw the curve here, and this curve we call it as zero power factor saturation curve, full load zero power factor saturation curve. Now I will tell you how to draw that graph. Okay, is it clear till here? Here for the zero power factor saturation curve, if I want to get, I want only 2 points. One point is corresponding to the zero voltage, another point corresponding to the rated voltage. For zero voltage, check what is the corresponding field current, and for rated voltage, check what is the corresponding voltage. And if you get these 2 points, then it is more than sufficient to plot the zero power factor saturation curve. Getting my point, all of you? Yes? Do you have any doubts? Ajay, is it clear? Nivedita?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I will explain you how to plot that graph and all, then you will come to know, don't worry. So here for the ZPF test, we want only 2 points. 1 point corresponding to the zero terminal voltage, other corresponding to the rated terminal voltage. For zero terminal voltage means it is short circuit characteristics, SCC, where voltage will be zero, current will be maximum, and this is the rated current, rated voltage condition. Okay. Then while delivering rated full load armature current, with the help of these 2 points, the zero power factor saturation point can be obtained as. So like this, you are going to get the graph. So you need to draw this graph. So this graph is what? Y-axis terminal voltage and induced EMF per phase, that is EPH value, and this is x-axis is field current in amps. So here this is our OCC and this is our ZPF curve. and how to plot this triangle and all. Next we will see that. Okay. Now, so to plot this graph, there are certain rules. Let us see those rules here. Plot open circuit characteristics on the graph paper. So always remember, for this also you should make use of the graph sheets only. Plot open circuit characteristics on graph paper. So open circuit characteristics means first you need to prepare the y-axis, that is field current, and then you should prepare the x-axis, that is, sorry, y-axis is terminal voltage and x-axis is field current IF, and then you should plot the OCC. Then you should plot the OCC. Okay. After that, plot the excitation. Then second step is plot the excitation corresponding to the zero terminal voltage. So now second step is how to plot the zero power factor saturation curve. For that, here if you want to plot, so first you should plot the excitation corresponding to the zero terminal voltage. So this is my voltage y-axis, voltage y-axis. So terminal voltage zero means some, for this zero terminal voltage you will have certain field current here. So this is my zero terminal voltage. Okay, then that is short circuit full load zero power factor armature current. This point is shown as A. So this point is shown as A here. This point is shown as capital A, which is on the x-axis, which is on the x-axis. Okay. Then another point is the rated voltage when alternator is delivering full load current. So this another point is the rated voltage when alternator is delivering the full load current. So this is rated voltage and this is the zero voltage at zero power factor lagging. This point is capital P. So now this point we are denoting as capital P. This has capital A and this has capital P. A for zero voltage, P for rated voltage of an alternator. Okay, as shown in the above graph. This is the graph. Okay, still I have not explained how to indicate this airline and how to indicate all these triangles and all. Okay. Step number 3. Draw the tangent to OCC through origin, which is line OB. This is called airline. So now third step is draw the tangent to the OCC. Now you should draw the tangent to the OCC through the origin, which is line OB. This is called airline. Now what you should do here, from the origin you should draw the tangent. Tangent means what? Just you should connect to the line. Here this is what? Tangent. Okay, so this is the tangent you should draw it to the OCC. Just what you should do, take the scale and draw the tangent to the OCC starting from the origin, and this we call it as airline. This we call it as airline. Is it clear? Step number 3 is draw the tangent to the OCC and call from the origin and call this as airline. And step number 4, draw horizontal line PQ parallel and equal to OA. Now here you should draw the horizontal line PQ. PQ you should draw. PQ you should draw. How you should draw? Draw horizontal line PQ parallel and equal to OA. OA means what? This is my OA length. This is my OA length. Equal to the OA length, you should draw PQ line. PQ line is this line. So here what you should do, you should measure the length of OA. So whatever the length of OA will be there, from with equal length, what you should do, you should draw the horizontal line. That line we call it as P, other end of the line we call it as Q. And to draw this line, always remember you should draw it on the rated VPH value only. You should not construct this triangle anywhere in this area. Exactly where you will get the rated VPH, there only you should draw the line. So for that sake only, during constructing this ZPF curve, One point we are taking for zero voltage, another point we are taking for rated voltage. That rated voltage line itself, you should mark it first only. Initially, you should mark it as rated VPH, and now after that, you should measure the length of OA. If it is 3 centimeters, so from this point P, measure here that 3 centimeter will be exactly. So that point, another point you call it as Q. And now the length of OA should be equal to length of PQ. Is it clear, all of you? And this PQ line, always you should draw it whenever you will be having rated voltage only. You should always draw it at rated VPH line only. Then let us see the next point. From point Q means another point of line PQ. From point Q means from this point, okay? From point Q, draw the line parallel to the air line which intersects OCC at point R, join RQ and join PR. The triangle PQR is called Pottier triangle. Okay, now what you should do, the other end of the line is PQ line is this point Q. From here what you should do, take the scale and now simply keep the scale on this what is that airline. Slowly you keep on moving the scale till that it scale it should touch to the point Q, or else what you can do, simply you draw the line which is parallel to the airline. So parallel to the airline, you should draw the line. So that just what you can do, take the scale, keep it on the airline, and slowly you move the scale. How long you should move? Till it is going to touch to the point Q. Once it is going to touch to the point Q, and another at any other side, the scale is also going to touch to the OCC. So wherever that other point of the scale is touching to the OCC or intersecting to the OCC, call that point as R. Now call this point as R. So once you get this point R, so what you should do, you should join the points now. So you join RQ. So you join just what you can do here, you join this RQ and then you join RP, and from point R you drop the perpendicular, and that perpendicular point you can call it as S. So now this triangle PQR, we call it as Pottier triangle. So what is, how to draw that? First what you should do, measure the length of OA. If it is 3 centimeter or 3.5, whatever the length it might be, with that equal length from the rated voltage line, that is from point P, with the equal length you measure, and wherever that equal length will be there, mark that point as Q. Then take the scale, keep it in line with the airline, slowly you move the scale till it is going to touch to the point Q. By the time it touches to the point Q, somewhere that scale is also going to intersect with the, or it is going to touch to the OCC line. So mark that point as R. So now after marking this point R, join RQ, join RP, and then drop the perpendicular to the line PQ. So wherever it is intersecting this 90-degree angle, that perpendicular line you call it as by the name point S. And now this triangle PQR we call it as Pottier triangle. We call it as Pottier triangle. Is it clear? Yes, is it clear to all of you how to construct that Pottier triangle? Now, from point R, drop a perpendicular on PQ to meet at point S. So, you need to drop the perpendicular from point R to meet the line PQ at point S. Call this point as S. Okay. Then, the perpendicular RS, the length of the perpendicular length RS gives the voltage drop due to armature leakage reactance. that is Ia into XL. So now the length of this RS. So whatever the length of RS will be there, whatever the length of RS will be there, this length of RS, this will give you what? Drop due to Ia into XL. It will use you drop because of Ia into XL. So the length of RS, if you measure this length, you should multiply it with the voltage scale here. So voltage scale, suppose if you can take 1 centimeter is equal to 50 volt, 1 centimeter is equal to 25 volt, whatever that 1 centimeter division information you are taking, that 1 centimeter division information you multiply it with the length of RS, and that it will give you the drop because of armature leakage reactance Ia into XL. Okay. The length PS gives the field current necessary to, after seeing the length of RS, the next step is what? From the triangle you need to extract information. So this PQ triangle, which we call it as Portier triangle, this will be helpful for us in providing the information which is necessary to calculate the voltage regulation. So the length of RS will give you the information, that is, it will use the voltage drop due to armature leakage reactance, that is Ia into XL. So length of RS multiplied by the voltage scale. Voltage scale means whatever the 1 centimeter information it will be there, that 1 centimeter information of this Y axis multiplied with the length of RS, that will give you Ia into XL information. Similarly, now let us see what is the next information. You can get it from the Portier triangle. So the next information is line PS. This the distance of line PS. So the PS information, it is going to give you IF2 information. What is this IF2? Can anybody? Yes, what is IF2 information? If you see the MMF method, IF2 is nothing but what? See here, the length of PS gives field current necessary to overcome demagnetizing effect of armature current at full load current. So this will, the length of PS will give you IF2 information. IF2 is nothing but what? Length of PS will give you what? IF2 information. IF2, if you take your MMF method, it is nothing but field current necessary to overcome the armature or demagnetizing effect of armature reaction effect. Okay. So now length of PS. If you take the measurement of length of PS, it will give IF2 information. So here just not you need to take length of PS. Along with the length of PS is coming along x-axis. It is along x-axis means what is my x-axis information? It is nothing but field current. So 1 centimeter field current information multiplied with the length of PS, then that will give you IF2 information. Similarly, 1 centimeter RS means it is vertical. RS means vertical, then you should take y-axis information. PS means it is horizontal, then you should take x-axis information, 1 centimeter. So length of PS multiplied by 1 centimeter information of the field current, that will give you IF2 information. Similarly, Ia into XL, if I want to get it, then length of RS, it is vertical distance, then you should consider y-axis 1 centimeter, that is nothing but 1 centimeter voltage information. 1 centimeter voltage information multiplied with the length of RS, then it will give you Ia into XL. Okay, so length of RS will give you multiplied with the 1 centimeter voltage information, it will give you Ia into XL drop, whereas length of PS multiplied by 1 centimeter information of x-axis will give you field current IF2 required to counterbalance the armature reaction or demagnetizing effect of the armature reaction. Now, the length PS gives field current necessary to overcome armature demagnetizing effect. Field current required to overcome demagnetizing effect is nothing but IF2. Okay. Then the length SQ represents field current required to induce an EMF for balancing leakage reaction drop across RS. So now there is another part of the triangle. What is that? Length RS. RS is our length. PS is our the next the remaining distance.
Sir, your voice is not audible.
Now, can you hear the voice? Am I
Yes.
audible?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So here actually the length SQ represents field current. So the length the remaining length of the remaining portion. So the length SQ gives IF1 information required to induce the rated voltage. But from this triangle, always remember we are taking only two information. One, length vertical distance RS, which is nothing but IA into XL, and this horizontal information PS, that is nothing but IF2. These two are important for us while solving the problems. Okay, IA into XL, that is vertical distance, length of RS. PS, that is horizontal distance, which gives us field current required to counterbalance the armature reaction, that is nothing but IF2. IF2 means what? Length of PS multiplied by 1 centimeter information of x-axis. Because PS is horizontal means we should take x-axis information, what is 1 centimeter value. Similarly, RS means it is vertical distance, so measure the length of RS multiplied with the 1 centimeter information of the voltage axis. This you will come to know when you are going to solve the problems based on ZPF method. Now, what is that? So armature leakage reactance. Armature leakage reactance means what? Armature leakage reactance XL value, IA into XL value can be obtained as, so IA into XL. So IA is written as IA phase full load current value. XL, this is normal XL value and this is IA value. So IA into XL is nothing but what? Length of RS. Usually in the theory we say that length of RS is nothing but IA into XL, but while solving the problem, not only we are going to consider length of RS, along with that we should also take 1 centimeter information of y-axis. Okay. So length of RS is equal to IA into XL. IA is full load armature current per phase value multiplied by the leakage reactance per phase value, that is IA into XL. So from this leakage reactance XL value, so XL can be written as length of RS divided by full load armature current, that is length of RS. Anyhow we have measured it using the Pottier triangle, that you substitute in the numerator part, and full load armature current, this will be given to you. So if I know the length of RS, then if I know the full load armature current value, then we are going to get the leakage reactance value. And this leakage reactance, by using ZPF method, we call this reactance by the name Pottier reactance. Pottier reactance. Since it is using Pottier reactance information to calculate regulation, this method of voltage regulation, this can also be called as Pottier reactance method. So now Pottier reactance or the leakage reactance XL is nothing but what? Length of RS divided by full load armature per phase value, current value. Okay, so this is leakage reactance per phase is in terms of ohms. Okay, now field current required to balance the armature reaction can be obtained from the Pottier triangle, that is IF2. As I told you, IF2 is nothing but what here? IF2 is nothing but length of PS. It is not only length of PS, along with length of PS, it should be multiplied with 1 centimeter information of the field current value. While in the theory we say that IF2 is equal to length of PS, but when we are solving the problems, along with the length of PS, we are taking, it is multiplied with 1 centimeter information along x-axis, because IF2 is the field current, means what is the field current value for 1 centimeter, that we have to take it here. Okay. Then the total excitation required is the vector sum of IF1 and IF2. This can be obtained in similar to MMF method. So now, what is the total MMF required? What is the total MMF required for the excitation purpose? That is given by IF is equal to IF1 square plus IF2 square plus or minus 2 times of IF1 IF2 sin pi. So this formula is similar to your what? MMF method. Same MMF method formula we are using here. Then once the total excitation IF is known, once if I calculate this IF by knowing IF1 and IF2 for different power factor values, then for corresponding to this IF value, you should calculate what? We are calculating what? EPH using OCC curve. Once the total excitation IF is known, corresponding induced EMF EPH can be obtained from OCC. Okay. On knowing EPH, regulation of an alternator can be given by what? Percentage R is equal to, that is regulation is equal to EPH minus VPH divided by VPH into 100. Yes. This method takes into account the armature resistance and leakage reactance, voltage drops as EMF quantity. So here IARA and IAXL value, we are treating them as EMF quantities, whereas IA into XAR value, that we are treating them as MMF quantity. So thereby we are separating drops because of IR and IAXL as EMF and drop because of IA into XAR as MMF quantity. Is it clear? So now see here, I got IF2. I got IF2 from the Pottier triangle. Yes, I got IF2 from the Pottier triangle, that is length of PS. Length of PS will give you IF2 value. But how to get this IF1 value? Yes or no? So if I use this formula, then this is as good as your, what is that? MMF method formula. But how to get the IF1 formula? How to get the value of IF1? For that, there is a next approach. How to get that IF1 value? Let us see that. Use of Pottier reactance to determine regulation. So how to get that IF1 value? Let us see. To determine the regulation, next is to determine the regulation using Pottier reactance. Draw the phasor diagram by using the following procedure. So here in the above step, we have seen IF is equal to square root of IF1 square plus IF2 square plus or minus 2 times of IF1 IF2 sin pi. IF2, no doubt you are getting it from Pottier triangle. But from where do you get the value of IF1? IF1 is what? Field current required to produce the rated terminal voltage. So to get the value of IF1 here, that can be extracted by the Pottier triangle only. Let us see how it is possible. Okay. To determine the regulation using Pottier reactance, draw the phasor diagram using following procedures. So here you should draw the phasor diagram, and from that phasor diagram we will come to know that we have separated IARA, IAXL as EMF quantity, and whereas IA into XAR as MMF quantity. So for IAXL and IARA value, we are using the formula, that is EPH is equal to square root of V phase cos pi plus IRA whole square plus V phase sin pi plus or minus IA into, instead of taking XS here we will take it as XL. So if I take it as XL means here completely we are treating IA into XL as EMF quantity, because this formula we are using in the EMF method or pessimistic method. Okay. You can see here. What is that? To determine the regulation using Portier reactance, draw the phasor diagram using following procedure. Draw the rated terminal voltage V phase as reference phasor. So first what you should do, draw the VPH as reference phasor. Depending upon at which power factor cos pi the regulation is to be calculated. So for different power factor values and whatever that power factor you are considering, based on that you should draw the phasor diagram. Okay. Draw the current phasor IPH lagging, because here it is inductive load. For that sake, always for inductive load, current lags to the voltage. Current will be lagging to the voltage. So first you should take VPH as a reference, and current will be lagging to the voltage by an angle of pi. Okay. Draw the current phasor IPH lagging or leading. It all depends what type of load you are connecting. If it is lagging, if it is inductive, it will be lagging. If it is leading, then current will be leading to the voltage VPH by an angle of pi. But for our case here, current is lagging to the voltage. Then after that, draw I phase RAPH. So from the tip of V phase, you indicate drop because of the armature resistance, that is IRA. So how to decide the direction of IRA now? IRA means it is resistive drop. If it is resistive drop means whatever the direction of armature current will be there, parallel to that you show the direction of IRA immediately from the tip of V phase. Is it clear? So first you take V phase as a reference and then show I phase depending upon whether it is leading load or lagging load. If it is lagging, then current lags to the voltage by an angle of pi. From the tip of VPH, you indicate resistive drop IARA, which is parallel to I phase. After IARA, which is the another drop of armature resistance? Sorry, armature winding. This armature resistance drop. Next drop is because of armature leakage reactance. Armature leakage reactance, IA into XL. So this will be 90 degree ahead. So now VPH is EMF quantity, IARA, this is also EMF quantity, IA into XL, this is also EMF quantity. So if I take the vector sum of VPH, IARA, IAXL, then this vector sum we call it as E1PH. Whereas the another one more drop is what? Another drop is drop because of armature reaction drop. This drop. This is drop because of IA into XAR. So this IA into XAR is nothing but what? MMF quantity. This is MMF quantity, whereas this IARA drop as well as IA into XL drop, these all are including this CPH. All these are what? EMF quantity. So here we have separated the drops. Drop because of VPH, sorry, this is the terminal voltage anyhow. IARA drop and IXL drop, this we are treating it as EMF quantity, and the vector sum of VPH, IARA, XL, IA into XL, this is nothing but E1PH. So now here we are going to calculate what is E1PH value. So if I want to get this E1PH value, here we are going to use the formula of what? EMF method, that is EPH is equal to square root of V phase cos pi plus IRA whole square plus E phase sin pi plus or minus I into XS we are taking actually there, but now here we are taking XL. Why? Because XL is EMF quantity. Here XS means what? XS is the sum of, can anybody tell me what is XS? XS is nothing but what? XL plus XAR. But now here we have separated. XL is separated as XL and XAR. So this XL is nothing but EMF, whereas XAR is nothing but MMF. So now here we are trying to separate the drop causing components. So VPH, IARA, I and XL, all these are, we are treating them as EMF quantities. And if it is EMF quantity, so how to calculate even pH? For that we should make use of EMF method formula, right? See, you can see. Draw the current phasor ion pH lagging or leading to VPH by an angle of 5. Now draw I phase RA drop to VPH. So from the tip of VPH draw IRA drop, which is in phase with the IPH. So which it is in phase with the IPH. So this is my IPH. Parallel to that we are having IRA. While the voltage drop I phase XL is to be drawn perpendicular to IA phase RA. So 90 degree ahead, that is perpendicular to IRA, it will be I into XL vector. The phasor sum of V phase rated, I phase RA, that is I phase RA plus I phase XLPH. So V phase rated IARA XLPH gives the value even pH. It is going to give us even pH value. So now even pH is equal to vector sum of V phase plus IRA plus I phase I and XL. This is the one way, or you can use normal EMF method formula, that is even phase is equal to square root of square root again. So to calculate this E1 pH, which is the sum of VPH IRA, formula is V phase cos pi plus IRA whole square plus V phase sin pi plus I into XL whole square. So now you can notice the difference here. In the EMF method, we are taking this as XS, yes or no? Here you are taking I into XS, but now XS is different. It is separated as XL and XAR. So now this will be having only VPH IRA XL means here I have taken only XL component. So this XL is what? EMF quantity. So if I get this E1 pH value for corresponding to this E1 pH value, you should get the value of IF1. You should get the value of IF1 using OCC only. Obtain the excitation corresponding to E1 pH from the OCC drawn. Let the excitation be IF1. This excitation required to induce EMF, which does not consider the effect of armature reaction effect. So this excitation IF1, it is completely the excitation which is required to produce the rated voltage. This is required to produce the rated voltage, and it is free from the MMF, which is counterbalancing the armature reaction effect. So for this E1 pH, get corresponding excitation from the OCC. So whatever, suppose if you say this E1 pH, you are getting somewhere like, for example, you are getting some 800 volts. So if this is my OCC, if you are getting excitation as 800 volts, then you should just mark that 800 volt till it is going to touch to the OCC. From there, you should drop the perpendicular, and this value, it will tell you IF1. And now read what is this IF1 value. This IF1 value, you have to substitute here in this formula. And IF2, you will be getting it from Portier triangle. Once you know IF1, IF2, substitute and get the IF value, and corresponding to this IF value, calculate what is EPH. And to get that EPH value, once again you should refer to the OCC graph only. Anyhow, VPH will be given to you. So this is how you are going to calculate the regulation at the end using the formula regulation is equal to EPH minus VPH divided by VPH into 100. Is it clear all of you? And at the end, that is IF is equal to FR is equal to square root of IF1 square plus IF2. IF2 means Portier triangle method. IF1 means first you are calculating E1 value. For this E1 value, check what is IF1 using OCC. That IF1 value you substitute here. After getting resultant IF, for this resultant IF, get what is EPH. Get what is EPH from the OCC graph. Once you get this EPH value, then that EPH value you substitute here. VPH will be given in the problem statement. So this is how you are going to calculate the regulation of an alternator using zero power factor test method. So here you can see that you are going to make use of both the formulas of EMF method as well as MMF method. So this is EMF method formula and this is MMF method formula. So here we are separating the loss causing components IARA, IAXL as EMF quantity, this formula, and loss causing component because of I into XAR as MMF quantity by using this formula. So your ZPF method, it is a combination of both EMF method as well as ZPF method, sorry, EMF as well as MMF method formulas. So this is how you can calculate the regulation, and here you are going to get almost exact or near to the actual values of the regulation of an alternator. Is it clear, all of you? Okay, fine.